All right, we are back again, still talking about Life is Strange Double Exposure. Can't seem to get enough of it. Like I said, the channel is back. We're covering Life is Strange again for what it's worth, despite my lack of excitement on the topic, to be quite frank. This time around, we're talking about the price point of the game and the controversial decision for bonus content and all of these things, because I've seen a lot of people talking about it and it going around. And honestly, I felt like it was a worthwhile conversation to have when we were talking about True Colors as well, because I feel like True Colors was a bit more expensive than what it was worth. And so I think it's worth having that conversation again with Double Exposure, because we're starting to get in that territory again. I feel like a lot of people have already pointed it out, and I know I've already said it, but the game feels deliberately like a cash grab. And that's never a good feeling when you're getting into or getting ready to get into another game. It's like, oh boy, here's this game that I'm about to spend all this time with, and it is very much so looking like they're just out to make a quick buck. So, with that being said, just kind of dive right in. The base game is a $50 game, which I feel like is steep for a Life is Strange title. Obviously, it depends on the amount of content that they give us. So the original Life is Strange franchise, like the first two games, were about like 5 hours an episode, and 5 episodes per show or per game, which gave you about 25 hours worth of content, which is pretty good. Like, I feel like that's a solid amount of content for any game, really, to be released at. And those games were released at half the going price for games at the time. They were released at like $30. And that seemed like a reasonable price point for those games, because they're not heavy on gameplay. There's not a whole lot of stuff going on in them. It's pretty much just you experiencing the story that they've laid out in front of you. And so that felt pretty fair. I didn't pick up either of the games until well after they'd been released. It was probably 2019, I think it was November of 19 or November of 20 that I finally picked up Life is Strange 2, and that was the first time I'd played any Life is Strange game, and I fell head over heels madly in love with it. It was such a good game. And then I bought the second one, or the first one, to see what it had to offer, and I mean, it was fine, but it didn't knock my socks off. But I can see where they were going with it. It was definitely a necessary title for the franchise. But with that being said, it is interesting because I bought both of those for sale. Like, I think I bought Life is Strange 2 for like $6. It was on some stupid Black Friday sale, and I was looking for something to play, and I had heard about Captain Spirit relatively recently, and I had played it and really enjoyed it. And so when I saw that Life is Strange 2 was on sale, I was like, let's give it a try, and wound up loving every second of it. And then we get around to Life is Strange 1. I think I bought that one on sale too for like $10. And it was worth the price. It was worth the full price. It was worth the sell price. It was worth it. But this game, Double Exposure, is coming out with a price tag of $50, which is just $20 short of like a brand new game's like typical price these days. And so that seems pretty steep. I feel like True Colors came out at a full 60, and maybe I'm mistaken, because I feel like that wouldn't make sense for them to go back in pricing model. So maybe True Colors came out with maybe it was 50 as well. But True Colors was like significantly less of a playthrough than either Life is Strange 1 or 2. I feel like True Colors was like 8 to 10 hours at most, and that's like if you're doing all the silly stuff that you really don't have to do. So hopefully, with a $50 price tag, there is a lot more to do in Double Exposure than there was in True Colors, because like I said, True Colors was largely empty and unexplored territory. So hopefully we can get to a good place in this double exposure and make it worth the price tag. But like that's just for the base game. So let me pull up here the actual pricing breakdown, because this game has like 3 or 4 different editions and they kind of get ridiculous, honestly. So let's see here. Of course, I had it open on my phone, and then when I go to look it up, I can't find it. All right, so double exposure. Let's see. The base game, yeah, like I said, the base game is $50, which I've already said. My phone is, of course, being stubborn and lame now that I'm trying to do something on it. It wants to just play its own games. All right, and then so after the $50 standard edition, we have a $60 deluxe edition, and the $60 deluxe edition comes with the double exposure avatar set. Not sure what that is, but okay. And then the spooky outfit pack and the decades outfit pack. So I don't know how impactful outfits are going to be in this game, but given as how they're wanting people to pay an incredible amount of money for them, they better be very impactful. Like, you best be seeing those outfits all the time, every time. I better be able to choose my outfit in game whenever the heck I want. And even then, like, it doesn't seem worth for an extra $10. Shell out $60 for this super outfit pack game or whatever. So from there we move on to my phone is really frustrating me right now. So from then we move on to what edition is this? What do they call this edition? The super expensive edition? I think it's the Ultimate Edition. I think it's the most expensive edition. It's an $80 game, so it's $30 more than the base price. And you get to play the first 2 chapters 2 weeks early. Now, what's interesting for me from that statement is that means that they will be releasing Life is Strange Double Exposure 1 chapter at a time, like they did with the first game and with the second game. I don't remember if Before the Storm had a similar release like that or not. I did not play it enough to be like, oh yeah, or I didn't play it at all. I didn't play it at the time, that's for sure. And so I don't know what its release schedule was like, but I know for sure the first 2 had episodic releases. And so the fact that they're giving you 2 weeks early access to the first 2 episodes or the first 2 chapters tells me that they will do a chapter release again for these new titles. And albeit interesting that they're going to do that, it's I don't know. It was met with mixed responses last time. I personally like that release schedule. I think that's a better way to do things. If you release it all at once and people binge it all at once, and then your game's kind of irrelevant relatively quickly. So I think that's smart. What is interesting to dissect here, though, is are they giving you both chapters 1 and 2 2 weeks before the game's launch? Or are you getting chapter 1 2 weeks before launch and you're getting chapter 2 2 weeks before it's scheduled to come out? So like the game's scheduled to come out October 29th. So 2 weeks before the 29th, do we get access to chapter 1? And then say chapter 2 is supposed to come out November 29th. Are we going to get access to chapter 2 2 weeks before November 29th? Or are we going to get both chapters 1 and 2 2 weeks before October 29th? And that's pretty complicated, but if you're keeping up with it, I'm asking, like, what's the time frame on these? Like, play the first 2 chapters 2 weeks early. I would interpret that to mean that I get chapters 1 and 2 before 2 weeks before the game's scheduled to come out. And someone that I follow pointed out that that's kind of a very predatorial marketing ploy, because this is such a story-based game. Like, social media content runs rampant, and so no one's going to want this game to be spoiled for them. So everybody's going to lean towards this $80 price tag just so they avoid spoilers and feel like they're in the know. I've made it perfectly clear that I have no intentions of buying this game, and that my coverage of it will be strictly hearsay, and I'll watch other people's playthroughs. And if I watch a playthrough and I'm just absolutely blown away and feel like it's the bee's knees and I missed out, then I'll go back and play it, and they will have effectively proven me wrong at that point. But I don't have high hopes that that's going to happen. So these price tags are ridiculous, yes, but they don't really affect me because I don't even intend to buy it. But a lot of people are going to flock to this $80 video game just so that they're not stuck in the past and feel like they're constantly playing catch up. And they did that very deliberately. Early play access is one thing, but in a game of this nature, and if you're doing an episodic release, that you're pretty much like forcing a lot of people's hands because they don't want the spoilers that come with not being included. And then, of course, it comes with a whole gobbledygook of more outfits and stuff. And it's very clear that what you're paying for here is just these in-game cosmetics. And it's a tactic, like microtransactions are a part of gaming now, and buying silly cosmetics is a part of gaming now. And I think it's fine when it's done professionally, if you will. Like, I like buying cosmetics to support games and franchises that I like, but I don't do it very often. And I feel like buying the game should be enough. It's interesting to me, it's like, what is the profit margin of these games if they're so desperate to milk one title for significantly more money? Like, is it a really lame profit margin where they're not really turning and burning any money for these things, and that's why they're just like, oh, microtransactions, or are they just trying to get a little bit of icing on top, so to speak, and get people just that much more into their content so that they can make what it is they're trying to make? It's an interesting thing to observe for me. I don't know a whole lot about making games and stuff, and like, in the grand scheme of things, I feel like a Life is Strange title should be one of the cheaper games to make. So that's why it's also really interesting to me that they're going out of their way to like deliberately try and get into our wallets. And so it's like, okay, I feel like this is a cheaper game to make, and there's not much content here. The stuff that you're offering me is really silly and piddly. Like, why are you so hungry for money right now? I think this might be like Deck Nine's last chance at doing something with the franchise. And I don't foresee, if Deck Nine doesn't make this work, I don't foresee Square Enix going back to the well any more times with this franchise. And it's sad to say, because it's a franchise that has meant an awful lot to me, but I honestly would rather it just go away than keep getting these terrible iterations. And like I said, I could stand to be corrected. I could watch something on this and be like, oh my gosh, like, this is actually really good. I was such a fool. I really highly doubt that that's going to be the case, but at least I can say that I have looked at it and I've stood my ground, and I'm mature enough to, if I find that I'm wrong, I will most certainly identify that as well. But right now, still not looking thrilled about it. The pre-order bonuses and all this stuff only further accentuate the fact that I just don't feel like there's much to it there. Like in what was that game? In True Colors, we got an entire like bonus storyline. You got to play Steph's story for DLC, and that was like comparable to Captain Spirit, or well, I don't know, and Life is Strange 1 didn't have like pre-content if you count Before the Storm, but that was like an entire game that wasn't like Captain Spirit. I feel like Steph's story is more comparable to Captain Spirit than it was to Before the Storm. But at any rate, that's been my video. I appreciate you all for stopping by. Like I said, we're back at the old Life is Strange train, so thanks for that. Thanks for being a part of this. I hope you guys are maybe a little bit more excited, but still cautionary about it. And maybe, like I said, part of me does hope that I'm proven wrong and that this game is actually like phenomenal, but I'm very skeptical right now, and just dissecting it with the rest of the community and seeing how we feel. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next one.